Okay. I'm sorry. I think I have to request Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya Ji, Secretary General of IBC, to kindly do the honor of welcoming the distinguished guests on the dais by offering ceremonial white scarf kata. Thank you. We now start the second session of this day-long Dhammacakra Pravartana Day celebration by paying homage to the three jewels, Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namaskar, good afternoon, and Tashi Dilek. Most respected Bhikkhu Sangha, Bhikkhuni Sangha, the distinguished eminent speakers on the dais, and upasakas, upasikas, and dear Dharma brothers and sisters. International Buddhist Confederation, under the aegis of Ministry of Culture, Government of India, would like to extend a very warm welcome to each and everyone gathered in this auditorium for the second session of the Dhammacakra Pravartana Day celebration program in the very vicinity of the spot where the Blessed Buddha turned the Wheel of Dharma for the first time by delivering the teachings on the Four Noble Truths. That is today known as the Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. It is indeed a matter of great auspiciousness that we begin this afternoon session of the day-long program celebrating Āshāḍha Pūrnimā, our Dharmacakra Pravartana Day for the followers of the Buddha, with a message of none other than His Holiness the Dalai Lama, especially for this special occasion of the first turning of the Wheel of Dharma. So for this, may I request Venerable Sharze Khinsur Changchup Chudin Ji, Deputy Secretary General, International Buddhist Confederation, to kindly read out the message of His Holiness the Dalai Lama on this special occasion. While the message is being read out, it will be also displayed on the screen.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Dignitaries on the dais and the Sangha community and all the brothers and sisters on this very special occasion. As I am given the task to read the message of our beloved leader, His Holiness the 14th Dalai Lama, it is a great pleasure for me to present the message. And the message of Dalai Lama is, India is a country whose civilization and culture have given rise to a long series of great spiritual teachers endowed with both wisdom and sense of universal responsibility. From ancient times, India and her people have cherished a rich and sophisticated philosophy of non-violence, patience, and pluralism, which have so much potential to contribute to the betterment of humanity. The Buddha Shakyamuni lived and taught in India more than 2,500 years ago. Although he was a prince and a warrior by birth, he neither sought wealth nor fought battles for his kingdom. We respect, revere, and remember him for the teachings he gave based on the principles of ahimsa and karuna. He revealed that ahimsa is an active principle that relies on tremendous karuna, patience, and courage. Therefore, with confidence, I can say that the ultimate purpose of Buddhism is to serve and benefit humanity. Our kind teacher, the historical Buddha, first turned the Wheel of Dharma at Sarnath more than 2,500 years ago. He explained the cause and effect of suffering and its origin, as well as their cessation and the path that are factors for liberation. In other words, the Four Noble Truths. Mahakassapa and his followers preserved these teachings, including the Vinaya, Abhidhamma, that became the Pāli tradition. Later, when understanding had grown, Nagarjuna and other disciples examined the teachings in the light of reasoning, giving rise to what became the Nalanda tradition. The learned Indian master Vasubandhu stated that the Buddha's teachings consist of both scriptures and realizations. He emphasized that there are only two ways to preserve them, through study and practice. That the Buddha's teaching continues to flourish today is a tribute to the countless followers down the centuries who have studied them and put them into practice since the Buddha first turned the wheel in Sarnath. I'm happy to know that representatives of Buddhist traditions are gathering in Sarnath today to take part in a celebration of Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. Commemorating the Buddha's first turning of the Wheel of Dharma, I offer my congratulations to the International Buddhist Confederation, IBC, for convening this important event. With my prayers and good wishes, Dalai Lama, 8th June 2022. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Venerable Shazi Kinsur Chanjuk Chudinla. May I now request His Eminence Jabje Lingrumbuche to kindly bless the gathering with his precious words of blessings on this occasion, auspicious occasion of Dhammacakra Pravartana Day.
Kange tuze nizone dawa tamje bombeche tambe chunin dönzebe kodam dela chaze lo. Dear members of Sangha, brothers and sisters, it is an honor to be here in Sarnath to celebrate Lord Buddha's first turning of the Wheel of Dharma. I'm delighted to be addressing this gathering of the International Buddhist Confederation. Lord Buddha was born in Lumbini. He attained enlightenment in Bodh Gaya. And it was here in Sarnath that he gave his first sermon on the Four Noble Truths. The Buddha began by identifying our present state of being, which is a state of suffering. He taught this first because unless we acknowledge that we are suffering, we will not make effort to change our situation. The noble truth of suffering comes first and leads to the realization of the second. the noble truth of origin or cause of suffering, our suffering is caused by our craving for pleasure, our hatred, and by the ignorance that underlies the craving and hatred. Since suffering is caused by our own deeds, it follows that we remove the cause, then suffering will stop. The noble truth of cessation of suffering, the third noble truth taught by Lord Buddha, demonstrates that by removing our ignorance, our suffering will end. The way we can bring about an end of our suffering is the subject of fourth noble truth, the noble truth of path leading to a cessation of suffering. Thus, the Buddha taught practical methods by which we can end our suffering state. I rejoice in celebrating this practical method in bringing about an end of our suffering state of being, and encourage one and all to engage in the simple techniques that can change our lives and lives of others around us. I don't think one needs to be a Buddhist to practice these techniques. To lead in ethical life, where we try to help others refrain from harming them, is something everyone can appreciate. Ethics is the foundation of all virtue. Lack of ethics is the cause of all our problems: war, famine, environmental disasters, and other such challenges. As the Buddha taught on many occasions, that if we train our mind, we can live our lives peacefully and ethically, and our problems will be solved. His Holiness the Dalai Lama has been working to introduce secular ethics training into our education system. The essence of this training is to learn to control our minds. Buddhism is fundamentally a peaceful system, and in today's turbulent world, the followers of Buddha's teachings should set an example of that. In this occasion, I thank the International Buddhist Confederation and Ministry of Culture and the Government of India and everyone who have contributed towards organizing this beautiful event. Thank you very much. Tashitele.
Thank you so much, His Eminence Jiling Mushila, for your blessed words and blessing the August gathering of this session. We now begin this afternoon's main session, or the main program, that is a dialogue on the significance of Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. And for this, we have Venerable Dr. Dhamma PhD, Secretary General IBC, as the chairperson of the session. And so I would now like to request the Honorable Chairperson of the session to kindly take over and start the dialogue session. Thank you.
Yeah, it works. I think I better go there or from here. Okay, I first go and speak to you all, then come back and sit. Okay. Okay, a very good afternoon to all my brothers and sisters in Dhamma. This session is a very important session. Though we have only half of the seats full, I understand, because some of our Theravada Sangha members might have gone out for their monastic rituals. Today is this Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. We have certain things to be done, and we have our lay devotees, scholars present. The topic is important. So, dialogue on the significance of Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. It is on Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. I do not know whether it will be on Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta or not, or whether it will be on the Dhammacakra Pravartana Sutta or not, because the topic shows Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. But I'm sure without Dhammacakra Pravartana Sūtra or Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, we cannot have this dialogue, because we are here to discuss on the teachings of the Buddha that he has given for the first time. Suppose just we imagine a situation. Siddhartha Gautama, born in Lumbini, attained Samma Sambuddhi, full enlightenment in Buddhagaya. After that, the Tathagata, the Buddha, kept silent for the whole life and passed away in Kushinara. Suppose if that was the situation, do you think we would have had this precious, priceless Dhamma that we have today? We would have missed it, right? And that used to be the case with Paccika Buddha. We are given to understand Paccika Buddha usually attains Buddhahood or becomes enlightened, understands, realizes the Full Noble Truth, the Eightfold Noble Path, and also gets liberated from the causes of suffering. But Paccika Buddha doesn't teach the Dhamma like the Samma Sambuddha. So we are happy today to be here to have dialogue on the teachings of the Buddha, that is Dhammacakra Pravartana Sūtra and the Āshāḍha Pūrnimā. I was thinking whether Buddha has named something called Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. Has he named? First, I will speak or recite, I will give the talk or Dhamma on Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. Did Buddha say anything? Has he told any time to anybody, any monk? I think no. If Buddha has not said the Dhammacakra Pravartana Sūtra, why do we call this first teaching of the Buddha as Dhammacakra Pravartana Sūtra? It's an important question we have to understand. When we go through the Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta in Pāli, we don't find any mention of the Buddha saying, I am teaching you now the Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta which other Buddhas have been teaching. What we have here reference is Evang me ekang samayang bhagava varanasyang viharati. Ṛṣipatana Mrigadāya tatrākho bhagava pancha vaghiye bhikkhu amante. It starts like that. When somebody was saying, on one occasion the Bhagava was staying at Varanasi in the deer grove at Ṛṣipatana. There he addressed the group of 5 bhikkhus. Right. And then Dvimi Bhikkha were like, what the bhikkhus should do or should not do. Then it goes on. Coming to the importance of understanding the effect of either involving in the one extreme of indulgence in sensual pleasures or totally avoiding or withdrawing from the senses, where the Buddha has suggested neither of these, either excessive involvement in sensual pleasures or denying totally whatever is even physical and mental comfort, that is torturing oneself, self-mortification, not going to help for anyone who strives to achieve the transformation and purification of mind and elevate oneself to the stage or the level of arahatship. That is not possible. So here what I would like to draw the attention of the house, venerable monks and nuns and scholars, is that we keep telling all the time, the fast Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, fast Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, fast setting in motion of the Dhamma. I think definitely it is fast, but not necessarily the fast Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. If we try to understand, after attainment of Buddhahood, the Buddha has spent 7 weeks in Bodh Gaya. That time, for the 7 weeks, he did not teach Dhamma. Did he teach? At least I don't know. Did he teach Dhamma to anybody? The Buddha did not teach. He spent the 7 weeks experiencing the freedom he has achieved or he has attained from the clutches or the bondages of suffering, the causes of suffering. Example given is, suppose you are tied up in chain for thousands of lives, and for some reason, for some action, some good work, good deed, you are freed completely from the bondages and chain. How would you feel? That was the expression we can understand, that after attaining Buddhahood, how Buddha would feel. The freedom from suffering for the thousands of lives. So he was experiencing for 7 weeks in Bodh Gaya, and then on the 8th week, Buddha came to Ṛṣipatana here in Sarnath, and then given the Dhamma, and it came to be known as Dhammacakra-Pravartana Sūtra. Of course, it is a fast teaching of the Buddha. And we have the understanding there is second Dhammacakra or third Dhammacakra, I don't know. It is called fast Dhammacakra because Buddha gave for the first time this sutra. If this sutra is given the second, after some time, definitely would have called something else. But this is first time. So this is why my understanding. Of course, we have experts here to highlight and make us understand how this word came up. See, Dhammacakra Pravartana. It has 3 words. So I would request respected speakers to highlight on this aspect why it is not something else. Why it is Dharma and Chakra. What is the relation between Dharma and Chakra? It should have been something else. We have many Dhamma discourses, but we have never named any other sutra as Dhammacakra. We have Dhamma Vinaya or Dharma Vinaya, or we have many other things, but not Chakra, right? And why it is Pravartana? What does it have to do with our daily life? And how this Dharma Chakra is related or relevant to our modern situations? Can the teachings of the Buddha give any solution, any guidance to the world? And if it is yes, how? I would put these a few questions to the respected speakers. We have with us the first speaker, Venerable Nicholas Vreeland. He is the abbot of Rato Dratsang, one of the few important Tibetan government monasteries under the patronage of His Holiness the Dalai Lama. Venerable Vreeland is also director of Tibet's Center, the oldest Tibetan Buddhist center in New York City. He is a Buddhist monk and holds a Geshe degree, the equivalent of a PhD. The CV is long. I think I'll not take much time. He's a renowned Buddhist monk, definitely. From his deliberation, we can make out. So, long. Should I read out all this? It'll take time now. Okay. I would request Venerable Nicholas Vreeland to give your presentation, maybe one by one, then we'll have a discussion, dialogue. Please.
Thank you very much, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya. Your Eminence Ling Rinpoche, Professor Ngawang Samtenla, Venerable Buddha Datta, I'm honored to be here and to partake in this discussion on the first turning of the Wheel of Dharma. As Dr. Dhammapiya said this morning, we spend a lot of time paying attention to the Buddha Pūrnimā, to the birth, the enlightenment, and the attainment of parinirvana of the Buddha. But we don't really honor this Āshāḍha Pūrnimā as we are doing here. And so I want to thank Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya and the International Buddhist Confederation for really bringing our attention to the importance of this particular day. Why is it important? It is important because of these celebrations of aspects of the life of the Buddha. It is the first turning of the Wheel of Dharma where Lord Buddha actually changed history. It is when the Buddha taught us how to practice that he was actually engaging in his role as the great teacher. It was when he showed us that our life is the suffering that it is, when he pointed out that we are sitting in a situation which, although at times comfortable, is actually imbued with an essence, a nature of suffering, that he taught us the methods by which we can extricate ourselves from that state of suffering. This is the essential quality of the Buddha's teaching. I was born a Christian. I was raised a Christian. I was raised within a culture where we believed that God created the earth, created life. God created each of us, and then sent his Son to the world to assume our suffering, and Jesus died for us. What a relief to discover Buddhism. What a relief to discover a spiritual practice where we are taking responsibility for our lives. What a relief to realize that the suffering that we experience is something that we can change, There is something, I would say, scientific about the Buddha's approach to improving our situation. It's not pinning responsibility on someone else, some greater power. It's assuming responsibility. It's being taught the methods by which we can actually bring about the changes that lead to happiness. So today we celebrate this first teaching of the Buddha, first turning of the wheel, this first teaching how to assume responsibility for our state of life. I'm not going to say more because this is meant to be a discussion, and I would like to leave the meat, the essence of our conversation to a discussion. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Most Venerable Nicholas Vreelandji, for your presentation. Now we have Venerable Professor Geshe Nawang Samtenji, Vice Chancellor, Central University of Tibetan Studies, Sarnath. We all know about Venerable Professor Geshe Nawang Samtenji. It's a long page of CV. I think it will take more time. So I would request Venerable to kindly present your thought, please.
Sarvadrishti Parhanaya Yasadamam Adishyat Anukambam Upadhaya Tam Kodamam Namani Kange Tuze Nyasome Tawatham Japambe Tambe Chuni Tunze Kodam de la Chase. Venerable Bhikshu Sangh, Venerable Bhikshuni Sangh, His Eminence Kyabche Lingram Rinpoche, Venerable Dhammapiya Ji, Venerable Geshe Nikula Ji, and Venerable Bhante Buddha Datta, the Director General of IBC and the staff members, and dear friends and the guests. Actually, today is a very auspicious day, which we should remember and contemplate. So I think that the question that Venerable Dhammapiya has raised, sometimes it occurs to me that why should we discuss about it? It could be a scholastic discussion that whether this is the first Dhamma sermon or not. There's lots of literature on whether the second Dhamma sermon and third Dhamma sermon. So that is why this is regarded as the first Dhamma sermon. But I won't go into the details. The most important thing that we should be remembering is the content of the first Dhamma, the Dhammacakka-pavattana Sūtra, because this is the teaching that is the most important thing, and that changed the world. And in fact, with the advent of Buddha, there took place a revolution in two spheres, in two systems, we can say. The first is the revolution in spiritual system in India at that time, and gradually to the rest of the world. The second revolution is in philosophy. The first spiritual revolution is to bring transformation rather than engaging in rituals and things like that, paying more attention on external phenomena. And with respect to philosophy, as we can see from the first Dharma sermon, it is very clear that when Buddha talked about, the impermanence and interdependent nature of the phenomena, then that was a kind of unheard subject, and it took a kind of very, in a way we can say that shake the, earth, and as a result, there are so many repercussions in the philosophy, and as His Holiness, in His Holiness's message, you can find that you have seen that after the Buddha's teachings and in the subsequent, the era, centuries, the great Buddhist masters came, and that really took forward the message and the teachings of the Buddha and the exploration of the world, the external world and internal world. And those explorations, they took in different areas. And in a way we can say that the Buddhist education system, Buddhist philosophical system, Buddhist spiritual system impacted a lot on the other spiritual systems and philosophical systems of India at that time, and gradually in the rest of the world. Today we are here to remember the first Dharma sermon, in which we need to feel it, not just from the knowledge point of view, but to feel it at the experiential level, and then take forward our own practice. The first Dhamma, in the Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, during that time he talked about the Four Noble Truths. The first truth is the truth of suffering. We need to feel that. It is not something like a pain or agony or something. English language for dukkha is not the exact, it cannot convey the exact, meaning of the dukkha, whereas the dukkha has a multidimensional kind of, the understandings and the meanings of the life. So, suffering of different kinds, different levels, and that is sometimes people when encounter with the Buddhism, when they first listen to the Buddhist discourses, they find that it is very pessimistic, that Buddhism is talking about, suffering of life. The life is full of suffering and things like that. So it's a very pessimistic. But in fact, Buddha tells us about, what is the nature of reality, the nature of life. The nature of life, if we can understand and explore it insightfully, then we can find it, suffering by nature. Suffering by nature in terms of various levels of suffering. Suppose a person is afflicted with a very serious disease, then the patient goes to the doctor, and doctor diagnoses it as with the particular disease. Then that is the first step from where the patient can get the treatment and recover. But if the person had not, understood or known about his or her disease, diagnosed, then that person would not go forward for treatment. So this is the same thing in Buddha's teaching. The suffering, if we know the suffering, then we can go forward. What are the causes and conditions of the suffering? And then, there are some cessations. These sufferings can be ceased or not. If these can be ceased, what are the reasons and the methods with which we can seize and stop this suffering? So, in the case of, the first Dharma sermon, the first truth is the truth of suffering, and the second truth is the causes of the suffering, causes and conditions of the suffering. If we feel the suffering, then we have to address that, where from these sufferings, come from. And we need to realize that it comes from our action, it comes from our behavior. And the behaviors and the actions in turn come from our afflictive mind. And the afflictive mind, in fact, is responsible for our action. And again, we need to go further. Where from this afflictive mind, comes from? This afflictive mind comes from not understanding the, reality of nature, reality of life, reality of our own life, reality of the life, reality of the world. So that is why avidya is the final source of our, suffering. So therefore, now the truth of cessation gives us a hope that these sufferings and the causes of sufferings can be ceased, can be stopped. If we try, make attempt, this can be stopped at various levels. We can reduce it, we can reduce the suffering, we can, put them into dormant state, the afflictive mind, and if we try further and make more attempt, we can eliminate our sufferings, right? So in order to do this, what are the methods that we need to adopt and apply in order to cease the suffering? That is the path of, the truth of path. And truth of path is, as this morning we heard from many speakers, that Ashtanga, the eightfold noble, path, and which in fact are the three shikshas, or the three trainings. The training of, the moral ethics, the training of the concentration of mind, the training of, the wisdom. So if we have a training of moral discipline, based on which, if we cultivate the concentration, which enables the mind to go further for cultivating wisdom. And the wisdom is about the reality of the life and reality of the world. Now here comes that, in terms of, for example, as I said earlier, that impermanence is intransient nature of life, our mind and external world. It is something that, Buddha, when gave a teaching on this, then there was so many reactions from other schools. And then in modern science also, they have explored the impermanence of the material world, and they have gone into such extent of, dissecting single second into millions of fractions. And that has a kind of, from the material understanding of not only impermanence, but also interdependent nature of the phenomena or world. The philosophy and the Western science has also explored, and they have came up with quantum mechanisms, through which we can understand the interdependent nature of the world. But from the scientific approach, when we look at the interdependent nature through quantum physics or whatever, they are exploring the reality of the external world. Whereas from the Buddhist perspective, Buddhism is not interested in just knowing the reality of the external world itself, but since it has a lots of impact on our life, our perspective is how we perceive the life, how we perceive world. Because of that perception, as perceiving the world as independent, perceiving world as permanent, with those kinds of wrong perception, we have, we develop afflictive emotions, we develop a certain, out of which we engage into certain actions. So these are the things that why in Buddhism you find the philosophy and the systems of understanding the reality of external world and the internal world. As I said, that these are for the sake of, correcting or cultivating the right perception of the world, which has a very deep impact on our life. And with the perception of the world as impermanent and interdependent nature, then we can perceive the world differently and would not, develop afflictive mind. As a result, then we can, be free from the bondage of afflictive life and afflictive mind, and then afflictive, negative actions. This is the way how we can get, the out from the samsara. So now, in modern life, the modern science also, the Buddhist perspective of understanding the impermanence and understanding the relativity or the interdependent nature has lots of impact on our, regulation of emotions as well. So that is how the modern, the neuroscience and modern quantitative scientists and the modern clinical scientists, they are interested. They are now exploring into this, and they have done lots of researches in all of these areas and have come up with many findings, which now the emotional regulations, mindfulness trainings, and mindfulness meditation, and emotional regulations, and these are now being made as a kind of a very secular practice of bringing happiness in the society by bringing them into the education system, by bringing them into clinical and health system, and this has been found to be very significant in all of these areas, with which the society and individuals are benefiting a lot. So therefore, the Buddha's teachings, the first Dharma sermon and then followed by the second Dharma sermon at Gritarkut, Rajgir, and the third Dharma sermon, which is regarded as in Vaishali. These are very much mentioned in many of the Nalanda, Vikramasila, Takshashila, treatises. As for your kind information, these are mentioned very profusely, and there are lots of interactions and conversations and debates on the content of these various Dharma sermons and the Dhammacakka-pavattanas. So with this, I would like to stop here, and so that we can have some discussions also later. I would like to thank the IBC for giving me this opportunity. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much, Most Venerable Geshe Nawang Samtenji, for your presentation. Dhamma sermon, Dharma teaching, Buddha had started from Sarnath and kept on teaching for 45 years till he took the last breath in Kushinagara, and whatever he taught, which had been compiled, and we have now Tripitaka or Tipitaka. So this, the first sermon, second sermon, third sermon, maybe definitely there will be sequence of different teachings and in different point of time. But we are discussing today on the importance of the first sermon, Dharma Chakra. I'm also trying to understand why this chakra is associated with dharma in the first instance. Why chakra? Chakra means wheel. Why wheel? Chakra means wheel, but chakra can be something else also. So may I request now Venerable Bhikkhu Buddhadatta, Director, Mahabodhi Research Center, Mahabodhi Society, Bengaluru, kindly take and present your thought and ideas on this significance of Āshāḍha Pūrnimā and Dhammacakra Pravartana Day, please.
Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Homage to the Blessed One, homage to the Perfect One, to the Supremely Enlightened One. Gratitude to the Sangha for preserving and propagating this noble Dhamma. I pay my salutation to the distinguished members of the Sangha here, Most Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya Bhante, Most Venerable Geshe Nicholas Ji from Rato Monastery, Venerable Professor Geshe Noang Samten, the Honorable Vice Chancellor of Central University, and also the Venerable Ling Rinpoche. Dear Venerable Sangha members from Thailand, from India, from Bhutan and different parts of the world, and also the Sangha members here in India, and Venerable nuns, dear Upasakas and Upasikas, a very hearty Āshāḍha Pūrnimā to all of you. Today is the day when the Dhamma has arisen in this world. When the Buddha appeared in the world, the Buddha Ratana, the Buddha himself arose and he opened up the path to deliverance. The Buddha, having gone through countless of lives, he sacrificed his lives, his limbs and his bodily parts, lives after lives, fulfilling his perfection, he became an enlightened one. And whatever he has achieved, what experience he has gone through after finding the enlightenment, he wanted to share with everybody else. He wanted to give that Dhamma Dana to all human beings for the happiness and well-being of all of us. Now, this day called Dhamma Ratana because the Buddha preached for the first time these noble truths, these teachings called Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. While he was coming from Bodh Gaya to Sarnath by walk, you know that, and on the way he met an asceti called Upaka, and he explains to Upaka what is the nature of his enlightenment and where he is going. The Buddha said, Dhammacakka-pavattana gacchami kasinang purang. Andabhutasming lokasming aharancha amatadundaving. I am going to the Kasi to set in motion this wheel of truth. Andabhutang, when the world is engrossed in darkness, I am going to beat the drum of deathlessness. And when he says Chakhung Udapadi, Jnanang Udapadi, Panya Udapadi, Vijja Udapadi, Aloko Udapadi, in the first discourse itself, what is that arose in him is the light. The light is nothing but the light of Dhamma. And Buddha, therefore, he is depicted as the Dhamma Vanu, the son of the truth. Now, this is very significant day, you know. It is not only significant on the ground of history, but it is significant for entire Buddha Sasana. Because the Buddha's dispensation actually have started from today when he preached to the 5 Panchavagya bhikkhus, and therefore the Sangha came into existence. So when we see the Buddha, Dhamma and Sangha, all 3 completed on this very day, so for us, this is an auspicious day. And for the entire humanity, it is a biggest hope, because the Buddha have discovered the path to deliverance. As the Bhante was mentioning, Dhammacakka, why it is co-joined with Dhammacakka, not with Sansara Chakra. Sometimes you have to understand that we are also rolling on and on in this Sansara, and the Sansara Chakra is rolling reverse order, whereby involving more and more in these conditional realities, we are going through a lot more suffering, whereas this Dhammacakka is the path to deliverance which the Buddha himself discovered. Dhammacakka has 8 spokes, you know that? Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappo, Samma Vacha, Samma Kammanto, Samma Ajiva, Samma Sati, Samma Vayama, Samma Sati, Samma Samadhi. But you know, Sansara Chakra has also 8 spokes. We are actually dwelling in this Sansara by going into extremes. That is how the Buddha depicted the extremes. Extremes is called lave alave. When there is profit, we are happy. When there is loss, we are unhappy. When there is a reputation, we enjoy our good name and fame. When you go through ill reputation, blame, we can't forbear that. When there is happiness, we are jumping and celebrating our happiness. But when there is dukkha, oh, such a pain, you can't tolerate this. So, ninda pasansa, sukhecha dukhe, lave alave, yasecha ayase. There are 8 pairs, we call them as Loka Dhamma. When you read the Loka Dhamma Sutta in the Tipitaka, the Buddha says how the beings are actually going through these 8 worldly dichotomies. But Sansara Chakra has its own law, man-made law, but Dhamma has its own way. Dhamma, therefore, it is called as the way of life, the path to happiness and truth. So, therefore, the Buddha says, Ayamevo Aryo Attangiko Maggo. This is the Noble Eightfold Path, or the Majjhima Patipada. What does this Majjhima Patipada does is Chakkung Udapadi, Jnanang Udapadi. This will give rise to the eye of wisdom, this will rise the eye of insight, knowledge, and this will lead you to deliverance from all suffering. So therefore, I would like to mention here Dhammacakka is very, very significant. And that chakra is still rolling. It's a symbol which is rolling on and on towards Nibbana. Right? Towards Nirvana, not towards samsara again. So whoever follows that chakra, they are actually slowly, they are moving towards the ultimate freedom of suffering. So, therefore, in the first discourse itself, Buddha discovered that Dveme Vikhave Antapa Bhajitena Nasevitapa, a renunciate or any truth seeker should not go to the extremes, because the extreme path Buddha himself tried. Buddha also had all the luxuries of his life. He has gone through all the sensual pleasures you can imagine. We are nothing. Buddha left his home in search of peace, because he knew that all this enjoyment, these pleasures, all are temporary. Sooner or later, they are going to pass away. Therefore, Buddha left home. He knew it. The sensual pleasures will not give you everlasting happiness, because they are conditioned by ignorance and craving. Because of this ignorance and craving, we get involved in this samsara. Therefore, he also tried the extreme of self-mortification. He tried for 6 long years, but futile. He didn't get anything, no knowledge, no vision, no discovery of middle path. Therefore, he gave up all these practices and chose the golden path called Majjhima Patipada. Therefore, this Majjhima Patipada is nothing. Some people may think that middle path means sitting on the middle road somewhere, on the crossroad, or sitting on the fence, or sitting somewhere. That is called middle, being in the middle. Neither you go to the left, nor to the right, you stand on the middle. It is not like that. Middle path means sila, samadhi, and panya. Middle path means the path of truthfulness. The path of truthfulness. When you commit yourself on the path of truthfulness, you will progress. Your life will be improved. You will enjoy a better life. So Dhamma, this Dhammacakka, or we can say the Majjhima Padipada, a path of purification, Atthangika Magga, they are divided into three parts: Sila, Samadhi, and Panya. Now, what does this Sila does? For example, Bhante was telling how it is related to our day-to-day life. For example, a person who is a virtuous person, he commits himself to the path of morality, he follows ethical code of conduct. Having committed to precepts, he gives up his unwholesome actions. He never commits any evil. He never commits in wrong verbal or physical actions. By just restraining his actions, he is free from suffering. Imagine a person may be committing so many unwholesome deeds. By following just 5 precepts, he is happy. He is enjoying more happiness. He is enjoying more peace of mind. Similarly, by practicing meditation, if I ask you, what is the benefit of meditation? The benefit of meditation is nothing else but just to letting go. Just to make yourself more calm and more peaceful. And you improve the quality of your mind, you strengthen your mind, you purify the mind. So meditation is about Samma Samadhi, purification mind through mindfulness. Mindfulness of your body, mindfulness of your feelings, mindfulness of your mental states, mindfulness of your everything through body and mind. Whatever happening, you are aware. Similarly, wisdom, you know that when there is no wisdom, there is no freedom. There is no wisdom means there is ignorance. So wisdom actually dispels the ignorance. When you develop the insight into the reality through development of vipassana, through insight meditation, you will see the things as they really are. You don't see the things as they appear to be. Most of the time, we carried away by the appearance of the things. But down the line, there is something else. You see things are happening by causes and conditions. Things are happening impersonally. And because of it is impermanence, unsatisfactory, therefore it is non-self. Nobody is doing it. Only the empty phenomena are rolling on and on. So, this is the deeper Dhamma we have to realize. We have to actually go deeper. Like the Buddha also saw, birth is there, old age is there, sickness, we are growing old, we are falling sick, and because we have this body, and we are growing older and older until we die. But death is not the end. Through our living existence, we commit actions, through ignorance or through craving. That action again catapults us in the next life. We carry forward those actions to the next life, and the samsara journey continues. So the way to stop this is this Dhammacakka, this Deshana, which the Buddha himself gave us 2,600 years ago, right here in this sacred, most auspicious place, where all the previous Buddhas also come here to transform, to turning the wheel of Dhamma. So dear friends, this is a message on this day. I wish that all of us, let us commit more and more, let us understand and analyze. Like the Buddha comprehend the truth, he analyzed it, he discovered it, finally he made known to the people. The Buddhahood is an experience of Buddha himself. If we follow this path of Sila, Samadhi and Panya, we can also experience the ultimate happiness. We can also get that supreme bliss of liberation in this life also. So with this message, I convey my heartfelt thanks to Dhammapiya Bhante for
giving me this opportunity, and all the Sangha members here. Also, I greet from our Buddhist Society, Bangalore, to everyone, and I wish you happy rainy seasons for those monks who are going through the Varsha, and have a wonderful time. Okay, Namo Buddhaya. Thank you, one and all. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Venerable Bhikkhu Buddhadatta Bhanteji, for your beautiful presentation. This is the end of the presentation to the gathering of Sangha members and lay practitioners. Just, I have a question now. You have to answer. Okay, the question is, when Tathagata, the Buddha, had given Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, or given the first sermon, the first teaching to Panchavargiya, of 5 ascetics, it ended with, in Pāli, saying, Anyasi vattabho kundanya, Anyasi vattabho kundanya. That means, Kundanya really understood. Kundanya really understood. Out of the 5 ascetics, one name was Kundanya. So Kundanya really understood means, out of 5, Kundanya became Arahat, means enlightened, understood the 4 Noble Truths, the Eightfold Noble Path, and got liberated from the clutches of the causes of suffering, and became fully enlightened. So after hearing to these venerable monks, and in this Sarnath, so how many of our gathering became enlightened? Anybody? Either in the audience or in the sitting here, or we, anybody? Huh? The purpose of the teaching of Buddha is to elevate ourselves in Sila, Samadhi, Panya. That is the essence of the sutta called Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta. What the Buddha has taught for the first time in Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, that is resounded in the last words of the Buddha. What he taught in Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta is the full Noble Truths, the Eightfold Noble Path. And when the Buddha was about to pass away, almost midnight you can say, he was in the deathbed, and there was one person. He did not approach the Buddha for the whole life, and Buddha was alive. But at the last moment, somehow he came to know Buddha was about to take Mahaparinirvana, to take leave or exit, pass away. And he came running to meet Buddha. But Ananda, Venerable Ananda was there in the gate, and he did not want to disturb Buddha. And there was a kind of argument, a talk between Venerable Ananda and the person, Subhadra. What is the name? Subhadra, yeah, right. So they were arguing. Venerable Ananda was refusing to give permission to meet Buddha. This Subhadra was trying to pursue Venerable Ananda, please permit, because after the passing away of the Buddha, how do I know what Buddha has taught? I want to hear directly from him. Please allow me to go and meet Buddha. Then the Buddha came to hear about that. Then Buddha asked Venerable Ananda, please Ananda, you allow him to come and meet me because he needs Dhamma. That's how when Subhadra met the Buddha, the question put was, There are so many masters, so many ascetics, so many group leaders who claim to be enlightened, free from suffering. So how do I know who is fully enlightened, who is not? You, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha, also claimed to be fully enlightened. So how do I know? How can I differentiate who is enlightened, who is not? There the Buddha said, what he taught in the first Dhammacakka-pavattana Sutta, the same thing resounded. Whether it is in my teaching or outside my teaching, whether it is in Buddha Sasana or outside Buddha Sasana, it is no problem, it doesn't matter. Wherever there is understanding and realization of the Four Noble Truths, and wherever there is the practice of the Eightfold Noble Path with clear understanding and realization, there will be enlightenment, there will be arahatship, there will be freedom, truly freedom from the chain of suffering. So now it is left to Buddha to understand himself what the Buddha said. So it's very important that if we are to elevate ourselves in our life and discard the load of defilements, the load of the causes of suffering and misery, then the Eightfold Noble Path need to be practiced. The Eightfold Noble Path and Four Noble Truths are not to be discussed in the classroom alone. Definitely theoretical understanding is necessary, but each step, each noble truth is to be followed, to be practiced. Each path is to be really internalized by own practice. That's very important. From this discussion and dialogue, something came to my understanding, at least. May not be in the to you people, but at least I got some benefit for sure. So what is that? I was trying to understand what is chakra. Why chakra? Why chakra? Like, from the beginning I was shouting for chakra. So I got 3 chakras here. Okay? First we started with Dhammacakka or Dharmacakra. The Dharma, the Buddha taught, it's like chakra. It's like a wheel. Right? Wheel means what? Once one round is complete, then 1 chakra. Second round, 2nd chakra. Third round, 3rd chakra. That means when you move, you have to move on and move on, move on, till you reach the supreme enlightenment and perfection. So Dharma has to be taken with you, and chakra is where you have to keep moving and moving and moving and moving till you reach the destination, nirvana, full enlightenment. If Dharma is only kept like the stuff in the book, you will not be able to move. What will you do? You will remain where you started. So the Dharma is to be practiced and elevate ourselves like a wheel, chakra, right? And this Dhammacakra, as Venerable Bhikkhu Buddhadatta has said, has 8 spokes or 8 folds. It's 8-fold, right? Starting from Samma Ditti, Samma Sankappa, that is right view, right understanding, to Samma Samadhi, that is the ultimate right concentration, where no trace of defilement remains, no ripples of the mind remains. The highest stage of enlightenment or elevation that one can have, the transformation of mind. 8. So my point here is, if we start from Samma Ditti and reach Samma Samadhi, does it again start from Samma Ditti? If it is will, it has to start, right? So this is academic debate, I don't want to enter now, right? This is one Dhammacakra. Second chakra, Venerable has said, is Sansara Chakra, right? In Sansara also, when we leave, there are things which comes back again and again, which are those 8. There are the 8 Loka Dhammas. Whether you like or you dislike, they will come to you, to us, right? For example, Ninda Prasamsa. It starts what? It starts with? Okay. It has 8 pairs, sorry, 4 pairs, 4 and 4, right? Positive and negative. Ninda Prasamsa. I mean, when we leave, we have to face in some point of time in our life that Ninda means Ninda. We will be blamed. We have to face blame. Prasamsa means prasangsha. That is praise. You are being praised. You are being blamed. This blaming and praise is part of our sansara. We have experienced. Then yasa ayasa, right? That is, sometime will be defamed, sometime will get fame, a good reputation. That's also part of our Sansara Chakra. It comes and goes. And also lava alava, right? Sometimes we gain, sometimes we lose. This is also part of our life. And sukha, dukha, it's sometimes we suffer, sometimes we feel joy and happy. These are also the chakra of the Sansara 8. So we got one is Dhammacakra, the other is Sansara Chakra, right? And the third chakra I found is, this is a Bhava Chakra, the chakra of becoming. So we have another chakra of 12 chains or 12 spokes. 12 spokes or 12 chains, which is also known as Paticca Samuppada or Patitya Samutpada, right? So the chain of this bhava, becoming, it doesn't stop. That is the essence of the teachings of the Buddha, where we understand everything is in a flux and flow under change. Everything changes. That is what actually these 12 chains of this bhava chakra, it tells us. When you start from avidya, avidya pacaya sankhara, sankhara pacaya vijnana, vijnana pacaya namarupa, namarupa pacaya salayatana, like it goes on till jati, jara, vyadi, marana, you see. It goes on. Again comes back. Because there is no end to the chakra unless you put all the causes and conditions of this chakra, bhava chakra, to an end. It goes on. So at least Dhammacakra, Bhava Chakra, Samsara Chakra, 3 chakras I came to know today. And these 2 chakras, Bhava Chakra and Sansara Chakra, can be put to an end if one has attained Dhammacakku. That is, you realize the Dhamma by following this Dhamma, Eightfold Noble Path, the Dhamma, by realizing the Four Noble Truths. This is what I came to know from this discussion today. Okay, as per this agenda, our program schedule, now there will be a debate. 2 debates. It's written 2 debates. So that as per the program it is there. Now I will hand over to our Geshe Anima for the Anila, okay? Please continue with your discussion.
Thank you so much, Honorable Chairperson of the session and distinguished eminent speakers of the dialogue on the significance of the Āshāḍha Pūrnimā, for sharing their views and highlighting the points with regards to the significance of Āshāḍha Pūrnimā as the Dhammacakra Pravartana Day for the followers of the Buddha across the globe. Thank you. Here we have a slight change in the schedule. So before the Nalanda Debate presentation, that was supposed to be after this, we are going to have the book launch program right now, and then after the book launch program, we are going to have the Nalanda Debate presentations. So for the book launch program, I now ask Portia from the IBC to kindly conduct the book launch program.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm here to facilitate the launch of the two books. The first book is called Leaf Talks Peace by Priya Kumari. It is a book that spreads the Buddha's message of the interconnectedness of all beings through one eyes of a tiny people leaf called Harmony, who lives on the Buddha tree. I request His Eminence, Ling Rinpoche, to please launch the book, followed by other dignitaries on the dais. We will now play a short video clip from the author.
Namaste, I am Priya, the author of the book Leaf Talks Peace. Leaf Talks Peace is a very special book to me. It came out of a conversation with my son. One day, he and I were in a garden and he asked me the meaning of friendship. This reminded me of an episode of Buddha's life. Before attaining enlightenment, Buddha was meditating under the Bodhi tree and he saw the presence of sun, soil, water, space, time, and even a mind in a leaf. He then gave the message of interdependent origination of life, how all elements work together to make life happen. This is how I explained friendship to my son. I am very grateful that His Holiness the Dalai Lama has written a foreword for the book and the blessings I received from Venerable Dr. Dhammacakka ji and His Eminence the Taisitu Rinpoche. Dhanyavad.
The second book is called Mogol Mari Chhuye Dantapur. It's a Bengali book by Aniket Mahapatro, Atanu Nandan Maiti, and Atanu Pradhan. It is a book which is on a historical perspective on Buddhist archaeological sites of Mogol Mari. I request Venerable Dr. Dhammapaya, Secretary General, International Buddhist Confederation, to please launch this book and other dignitaries on the dais to follow. May I please request the author to come and say a few words?
Respected Venerable Dr. Dhammapaya and Bhikkhu Sangha, actually ये जो बुक है वेस्ट बंगाल का एक बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट साइट ताम्रलिप्ति रुजियान के ऊपर है। और ये साइट एक टाइम पे कलिंग का कैपिटल दंतपुर था, लेकिन फाहियन ने जब इस साइट में विज़िट किया था तो 22 मोनास्ट्री के बारे में उन्होंने उनका किताब में उल्लेख किया था, और उनके बाद ह्यूएन सांग ने 10 मोनास्ट्री, लेकिन आज तक कोई ऐसा आर्कियोलॉजिकल साइट एक्सकवेशन नहीं हुआ सिर्फ ये साइट छोड़ के। और हम लोग इस साइट के ऊपर अभी भी काम चल रही है, और इनके साथ बुद्ध का टूद्रिलिक का भी बहुत सारा रिलेशन है। एक इंग्लिश किताब के ऊपर भी आ रही है, लेकिन सबसे हम लोगों के लिए बहुत ही खुशी की बात यह है क्योंकि वेनरेबल डॉक्टर धम्मपिया जी ने इनका प्रीफेस जो है बंगाली में जिसको मुखबंधो बोलते हैं, उन्होंने खुद लिखे हैं, और इंग्लिश का भी उन्होंने ही लिखेंगे। तो आई होप जिस लोगों को बंगाली समझ में नहीं आएगा वो अपकमिंग बुद्ध पूर्णिमा में वो किताब आप लोगों के पास पहुंच जाएगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच। थैंक यू वेनरेबल डॉक्टर धम्मपिया जी।
Actually, just to give a brief introduction to this book, this is in Bengali. ইতিহাস ও ঐতিহ্যের আলোকে মোগল মারি ছুঁয়ে দন্তপুর। That is, Dantapur is a place in West Bengal where this Mughal Mari one vihara, ancient vihara was found. And as per the travelogue of Xuanzang and Fahian, it seems there are more than 20-25 viharas they found during their visit to that place. Only one they have discovered. And this vihara discovery and excavation was done mostly by the initiative of this man who has written this book. He's IIT Kharagpur, from Kharagpur IIT. He left everything. He started working on this project actually on his own. So he needs a big applause actually for his work. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
We shall have the Nalanda debate now. I humbly request the dignitaries on the dais to please shift to the first row. This We shall now have 3 sessions of the Nalanda debate, which will be organized by the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies in Sarnath.
done by students of Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, Sarnath. The first debate presentation will be presented by a group of non-students from the CIHTS Sarnath. So I request the venerable non-debaters to kindly come on the stage and present their debate presentation. As the debate will be in Tibetan language, after the debate presentation by the nuns, there will be a brief translation, the gist of the debate presentation in English after they complete their presentation. Yes, please start the presentation.
Cigang thangbo di kabla ni tuvita ki jiden lala me bati betingi resra. Cigang ipa di kabla sugar da dingwe sha changla na chue che chue de chue ya yu do dingwe che wa betingi use. Dela Cigang thangbo di kablara ani loden chandu sempa che thakke parchinda dende simjingi tunga lenar we thonga na minge sima tunga da ligi babu dangwa so lunga gita thangi ke parchinda dende she badi yusra cigang iwa di kabla loden chandu sempa che shirap ke parchinda dende tame be tuyong sundo thonga na minge sima tunga da ligi babu dangwa so tak thangi ke parchinda demba imbe che loden chandu sempa che thakke parchinda dende Didayanda la yawanga erira aninga ni jungo tu ki didayanda jungo sun tu ki didayanda yucheba tu ki didayanda ani yuchu tu ki didayanda yuchu jus mo ki didayanda danga yus jungo tu ki didayanda jungo sun tu ki didayanda yucheba tu ki didayanda yurang tu ki didayanda yuchu tu ki didayanda dina hadi chawa ibata dela tamai bata ramo jungo tu ki didayanda ki chichi won tongyo saman chichi ale tamados Tidana chuchi me de tuai vechi da de chus. Susum juada des. Tamado. Tamadus. Tamadu. Kyaba maju. Dela. Tak duida ki dela me ba dilara. Adu. Tak kagi dilar. Tak duida ki dela me ba dilara. Ale mai lo. Mai. Cici. Kyaba maju. Tadigi midun show dila me ba dishas. Kyaba maju. Cici. Kyaba maju. Leo. Mai lay. Kyaba maju. Kakji chu kandas chahi do marda. Me yoba ni ngoi gidup chu shara. Me yoba ngoi gidup nyeda. Me yoba ni ngoi gidup chu la shara. Ani kakji chu la me mai ba di kandas chu. Dida gora. Oh. Tukchi ki lokcho kahan yimba de chagi mindo. Tak namu tukchi ki kepa. Mai ba da doira kahan dune mara. Des kauji che dila kahan dune shanda digo marda. Ngoi ki tukchi kahan yimba de lokcho sha hoyes. Mai len chisa da. Oh mai. Cici. Medara. Me mai ba dilai. Me re. Kyaba maju. Mai. Tabi khele gora me. Mai len. Doctor mai len. Mai. Khele gora me do. Khele gora me. Mai. Tadigi dubjuche. Tadigi dubjuche da mera. Meda me bara. Kaujuche dela me ba shawore. Me mai ba chai mare le.
Thank you so much, Venerable non-debaters from the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies for their excellent presentation of Nalanda Debate, Group 1. So the gist of this presentation of a debate by a group of nuns, as you saw, consisted of two groups. The challengers side, those who were raising questions, and the defenders were sitting on the chair. So the main topic of the debate is actually on a specific branch of Buddhist logic and epistemology known as reasoning through evidence effect. So they started their debate presentation by quoting a verse from the Dashabhumika Sutra, in which the Blessed Buddha says, I quote, "Just as one infers the presence of fire by seeing smoke, or the presence of water by seeing aquatic birds, the presence of the intelligent bodhisattva's disposition can be understood from certain signs." So here it is the importance of science and evidences from the result on the basis of which we can infer the causes that have gone before that is not visible at the moment. So on the basis of these lines from the sutra, the two sides of the debaters, the challengers and the defenders, advanced arguments to each other in terms of defining the causal relationship of cause and effect, and discussed the complexity of the system of epistemology while applying the method of reasoning through the evidence of effect, which is currently visible as they discuss, while the causes are not visible at that time. And so, for the arising of inference that something has preceded before, just like they went through the argument of saying we can prove that there is a smoke on the mountain because we can see the there is a fire on the mountain, although we cannot see the fire itself because of distance, but we can see the smoke, so there it means that there was a fire. Similarly, just like the sighting of some aquatic birds flying above in the space, we can see there is some water around that vicinity. Similarly, in terms of a bodhisattva, although the internal qualities of a bodhisattva is not visible, for the ordinary persons, but through certain science and evidences that we can of the bodhisattva's behavior, we can infer that this person is an enlightened bodhisattva. So likewise, so the arguments put forward by citing certain scriptural quotations from sutras and shastras, the debate further went on, debating on the logical relation of subjectivity and objectivity through the threefold syllogism of subject, predicate, and reason. That is the traditional method of debate according to the ancient Indian Nalanda Buddhist tradition, which has been preserved and practiced in Tibetan Buddhism ever since it arrived in Tibet. So in this way, with references from sutras and shastras, they went on putting forward arguments and clarifying the complexities and eliminating the possibilities of following certain fallacies if not the explanations are done in a correct and specific manner. So in this way, they concluded the debate session by eliminating the doubts and fallacies of the argument, quoting references from various sutras and shastras. So that was just a brief, summary of the presentation of the first group. Thank you. So may I now request the second group of debate, Nalanda debate presentation, to be presented by the Venerable monk students of the Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies, Sarnath. This debate presentation is also on Buddhist philosophy, and the specific topic of this debate presentation is on, Buddhist ontology with reference to the theory of interdependent origination and emptiness.
다 숑으로 제바이나 대우모자 셔러셔와 아니 강라타 갈사 강라도 막 이로와 텔라탄지 로마인 테나 탐지 로마인 다 어디 라오라 다 거기 땡땡데 가르쳐 버려서 라와이나 다 갈사 가서 자와야 돼 나가지기 다고 닝보로서는 가서 따와 땡중 갈사 따와 땡지 세우면 올라오라 제상 대가라고 그래 대토네 다 갈라고 그래 다 된다지 강도 똥방이 와요나 아니 텔라니 가서 레다니 그 얘기는 셔다 땡중 라서 버디만 땡여레스 지단 기타 지 따지 가서 시코나 단다 되어라 Tengala pa shewe na chundo ma disu lo disu yara tenju khone tenju do dang da disu dista ka wa ya go ta do na.
Ko zo rangi chengi ru ba da rangi chengi ma ru ba chi khe len dan chi yara. Zo di do. De dong. De dong.
Yes.
De la. De la.
Samina. Yes la.
De la. De dong. De dong. De la. Sajin bata ma do la.
Sajin bata ma do.
Ta ma do. Sajin bata ma do.
Sajin ba yes la da samay mais. De dong. Ta ma do. Tongin besia ta ma do. Machaus. De dong. Tanda. Tede uma tangi belo la shere. Mas golan te ka. Tanda tawe di chosa di ka uma tawe shara yin ta teje uma tangi belo shizan yin za wa log di share. La. uma tangi belo shizan jine. Dogdo teda yo mare. Ta ma dus. Tongi ma chaps.
lo.
Tang ma dus. Chicher. Children tende bi chabicher. Chaps. Chiduna tende imbe. Cham machas la da machas re. De tong. Gumba chujen. 다 때다다 랭게 그런 거기. 어디에 갈라고 그랬어 봐이나 라. 저 강다 강요 바디 된중도 전에요라. 때 똥이도 두 배를 봐래. 대난데 겨워 가서 땡데기도 가서 땡데 가서 땡지 겨워 땡데기 리포트 배 되디래. 어디? 똥이도 두 배. 또봐 최진 가서 최진 거라 똥이 뺏기자 말해. 최진이 땡도 뒤에 가서 똥이도 두 배를 봐. 되디 땡 거래. 똥이 두두 베리 봐래. 똥이 두두 베리 봐래. 대코랑 똥이 베리 봐 말해.
대동.
말 똥이 두두 베리 봐 말해. 치차. 똥이 두두 베리 봐 봐. 대. 똥이 두두 베리 봐 봐. 대통. 대통. 따마두. 시도나 똥만이 베 마게. 따마두. 대통. 대동. 마찹. 부바 추제. 대통. 동이도 두 배를 빠인 비셔.
따마두.
간데스. 똥이 떼라 봐. 강기디 최진 주다. 최진 매매 때.
최진.
부바 추제. 찹로. 덱도 요거나 데미 마찹. 야 대송. 요거디잖아. 요레스 가 요레스. bomba 거는 게 라. Pumba? Oh. Tamadus.
Tamadu.
Pumba tongi to Jakarta, Pumba tongi to Tupir by your Laura. Chesan Laura, tongi to Tuba Lagarza to Karsa. Tongi to Karsa, Tongi to Teething to Yura, Teething Karsa. Tamadus. La. Cheba Chuchins. Teacher. Teacher, what did they what is it? What that choke on the kind of they didn't do anything to Casa did choke on the Casa, don't get the you might be to your mares, our cat. Oh, La. Did you to be required your rest like each other? Ta La. Yawajilada. Teacher, also do it. Also do. Ah, Pumba di Lada, Pumba di Lada. Pumba Chechen Surda. Sura de Maduaj Mayomare. Cap. Kunjun Demba. Kunjun Demba. Kunjun my Maduas Ladaya. Maimba Delare. Tungel de Maimba. Teacher, don't
presentation, debate presentation. The gist of this second debate presentation by this group of monk students was an elaboration of the essence of teachings on interdependent origination and emptiness in the context of Four Noble Truths by citing a famous verse from Acharya Nagarjuna's Mola Madhyamaka Karika that says, I quote, wherever emptiness is possible, everything is possible. Where emptiness is not possible, nothing would be possible there. So the two sides of the debate presenters, the challengers raising questions to the defenders, they started debating on the basis of these profound lines, which basically forms the statement of thesis that all phenomena originates interdependently. Therefore, all phenomena are empty of inherent existence ultimately. So the both sides, they put forward the arguments of raising questions and clarifications, citing various references from the sutras and shastras dealing with profound philosophical, ontological, and metaphysical theories and definitions through the systematic method of argument using the threefold syllogism of subject, predicate, and reason. So in this manner, the defenders answer the questions by putting forward the relevant citations and clarified the doubts and the possibilities of fallacies, the challenges hinted of arising. In this manner, the both sides, posits further arguments with various scriptural references in support of each of their arguments and successfully defend their thesis statement as, that is said by the Buddha and Acharya Nagarjuna, that the theoretical and practical establishment of all phenomena as merely existing relatively through the nature of interdependent origination, and thus is empty of inherent existence ultimately. So that was just a brief summary of the second debate presentation. May I now request the third group of Nalanda Debate presentation by the BA and B.Ed students of the Center for Teacher Education of Central Institute of Higher Tibetan Studies. So as you can see, unlike the two previous debate presenters, which were the Sangha members, performed by Sangha members on Buddhist philosophical subject, this is very interesting that we have lay students presenting a debate presentation on a modern subject, actually, applying the traditional method of debate that we just saw before.
Dead. Dead. Tamadu. Kepamajum. The color of ultraviolet seen by eyes of being, color of ultraviolet in bay makeup. Sorry, can you repeat it again? Tamadu. 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 Dead. 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 Suffering of being, suffering in padot. Suffering of be suffering in padot. Dead. 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 Tamadu. Kapamaju.
Hello. Hello. Sorry for the interruption. So we just had the third Nalanda Debate presentation. Is this audible? Hello, am I audible? Okay, thank you. So we just had the third Nalanda Debate presentation presented by the mostly the lay students of the Center for Teacher Education of CIHTS Sarnath. And unlike the two previous debate presentations that we had by the Sangha members, monks and nuns, this was actually, as we saw, by lay students. And they were also debating on a modern subject. So usually we assume that the debate is mostly done on philosophical subjects, but here they have applied the traditional method of debate to a modern subject. And the issue or the main topic of their debate was, actually using the traditional method in the learning of certain definitions from physics and chemistries. The specific topic was regarding the definition of visual perception of color, as some of you may have inferred from their uses of the English terminologies. So they were actually debating on the visual perception of color between the perception of the human beings and the perception of the bees. So, it is, of course, an innovative method to apply this method. And they were actually debating that, is it, because the humans perceive the color of a certain flower as white color, while the color of the same flower is perceived by the bees as ultraviolet color. So now, how do you prove that it is it is actually a white color or an ultraviolet color? So they went through, certain, definitions and, examples, arguing back and forth about, does color as white exist per se, or is it, something that depends on the different causes and conditions for a visual perception, of either human beings or the bees? Because the causes and conditions that have gone, behind the human perception of the, the color of the flower turned out to be yielding a result of, seeing it as white color, while the same color, the flower's color was perceived differently by the bees as ultraviolet color. So they, they advanced further arguments discussing how the nature of color should be defined as they are perceived differently between the two, different beings, like, respectively the humans and the bees. Ultimately coming to the conclusion that the white color is not there as white per se in essence. It is rather perceived as white by human beings because of various, other causes and conditions that has resulted in the visual perception of the human being, perceiving the color as white. And on the other hand, because of the other reasons and causes and conditions for the bees, they perceived the color of the flower as ultraviolet. So in this manner, they come to the conclusion that, things are actually, it depends on various reasons that, you see something externally, but it is not seen, in the similar manner by other beings. So in this manner, they debated further on the, different definitions and theories from their subject. So this is just a brief summary of the last debate presentation done by the lay students. Thank you. So we now have an additional program that is not mentioned in the schedule. We have a short meditation session led by Venerable Dr. Dhammapiya, Secretary General of IBC. The Venerable Dhammapiya will be leading.
We are about to conclude this one-day Dhammacakka-pavattana Divas celebration. It is our tradition, before we close the session, we train our mind, make our mind calm and quiet, then share the merit, whatever we have acquired by performing the good deeds. May I now request everyone kindly sit straight, keep your back and neck straight, close your eyes, close your mouth. Focus your entire attention at the entrance of your nostrils and observe every breath that naturally goes in, that naturally comes out. Just be aware of your breath, the natural breath, the normal breath. Just be aware, and be aware. Okay, you may relax. Take rest. Take rest. Take rest. Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you, Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji. We have now come to almost the last program of this session. So for this, I would now like to request Sharze Khensur Changjup Chundin, Deputy Secretary General of IBC, to kindly come on the stage and propose the vote of thanks.
관계 독대 여러분이 따와 탐제 방배질 담배 주니 뜬제바 고담텔라 차슬로 미션도와 칼로 규르제바 군조를 치원제바 대신시 응부시시 일시시라 예 슈고텔라 차슬로 with paying homage to great historic Buddha Shakyamuni, the turning of the Wheel of Dharma, which we are celebrating today, since it is the second session, I would like to present word of thanks to all the dignitaries, those were on the dais, and all the brothers and sister guests gathering in this hall this morning for the first session. And then, particularly for this session, first of all, I would like to present my heartfelt word of thanks to the greatest statesman and religious leader of our time, His Holiness the Dalai Lama, for his precious and valuable message that was delivered in this session in the beginning. And then I would like to express heartfelt thanks to His Eminence Kyabjaling Chotu Rinpoche for his address and his presence. And after that, we have Venerable Dr. Dhammapiyaji, the chairman of the dialogue session, the Secretary General of International Buddhist Confederation. Thank you very much for your insightful presentation and guidance throughout the dialogue. And then I would like to thank the first speaker, Geshe Nicholas Vreeland, renowned abbot of Rate Monastery, for your wonderful and touching presentation. And then I would like to thank second speaker, Venerable Professor Geshe Ngawang Samten, Vice Chancellor of Central University of Tibetan Studies, for your eloquent and informative presentation. And thirdly, I would like to present my vote of thanks to the third speaker, Venerable Buddhadatta Mahabodhi Society, Bangalore, for your presentation. It was a wonderful presentation, And after that, we had 3 groups of debaters. Those presented wonderful debates on various important topics. And I think you guys did a wonderful job, and everyone felt entertained and enlightened. Thank you very much for your presentation. And I would also like to thank Anila for her explanation of the debates and narratives. Thank you very much. And I do believe very strongly, beside these, all of us present in this auditorium, there are a lot of people working behind the scene. Without their contribution, I'm quite sure that we won't be able to achieve what we have achieved up to this point. So my heartfelt thanks goes to all those people who remain invisible throughout the time. So thank you very much for your contribution. And also, as a co-organizer, we have Ministry of Culture and some other organizations. Those are kind of working with us. We present our deeply felt thanks to all of them. So thank you very much.
Thank you. We now have the concluding session with a chanting by Venerable Dr. Dhammacakka.
Usually, after vote of thanks, there's nothing. But at least we, the Buddhists, can make a wish for Buddha Sasana to live long. May I request all venerable monks, nuns, all the dignitaries, please raise. Just to read out, it's in Pāli, and it looks like Sanskrit. I mean, it sounds like Sanskrit also. Chirang tithatu lokasming samma sambuddha sasanang tasming sagarava nichang hantu sabbepi paninang. Which means, may the pure and sublime Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, last and live for long, for the benefit and happiness of all sentient beings. So we chant 3 times in Pāli. You may repeat after me. First, Namo Tassa 3 times. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato Arahato Samma Sambuddhassa. Chirang tithatu lokasming Samma Sambuddho Sasanang Tasming Saghara Vanichang Hantu Sabhe Pipanino. May the pure Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, last and live for long, for the benefit and happiness of all sentient beings. Chirang tithatu lokasming Samma Sambuddhu Sasanam Tasming Saghara Vanichang Hontu Sabhe Pipanino. May the pure Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, live and last for long for the benefit and happiness of all sentient beings. Chirang tithatu lokasmin Samma Sambuddhu Sasanam Tasming Saghara Vanichang Hontu Sabhe Pipanino. May the pure Dhamma, the teachings of the Buddha, live and last for long for the benefit and happiness of all sentient beings. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu. Thank you so much, everyone. Be happy. Thank you. Any announcement?
Tea is being served at the banquet hall. You may proceed.